Hello and welcome back. Another Try&Fly of an XP12 native aircraft. It's the Airfoillabs Cessna 172 next generation, and it's the digital version. So to give a little history here, Airfoillabs started to make aircraft, I think was it in XP10 or was it with XP11? It's a couple of years now that they started with a Cessna actually. In the meantime, we have a King Air and one or two other aircraft, I think. And the original Cessna that they provided was the normal clock shop classic 172. And all these are currently, the old ones are currently running on XP11 only. If you try to bring the older Airfoillabs Cessna to XP12, you will crash the desktop. I tried. But Airfoillabs is one of those... yeah. Thank you. Is one of those that provide us with XP12 updates cost-free, so no money has to be paid, which is great, and I appreciate that. Not that I wouldn't be willing to pay money if the conversion of a complicated add-on is a bit more complicated, needs more work. If the outcome is that whatever payware add-on we get is actually much better than the one that we had in XP11, I'm willing to pay an update price. I wouldn't pay the full price, but I'm definitely willing to pay. And in the case of Flight Factor, for example, for some of their add-ons, we had to pay something like, was it 20 euro or 10 euro compared to a price of 70 or 80 euro for the full product. So, bye-bye. Right, so Airfoillabs gives you the XP12 version cost-free. Now, installing Airfoillabs has become a little bit complex because they have a special Airfoillabs manager software which you need to download. And be careful, you need to download the correct one for your simulator. For example, in the X-Plane store, I have now 2 download links, and I actually made a mistake. I downloaded the XP11 version, which I needed anyway because I had to update it. I hadn't used it for quite some time. But I accidentally thought that this would also cover XP12, and it's not the case. So I had more or less a non-functioning aircraft, and I crashed the desktop. And then I found out, oh, hang on, I got it wrong. So if you want this aircraft, if you own this aircraft, and if you want this aircraft for XP12, make sure that you download the Airfoil Manager for XP12. If you have both simulators, like in my case, you will have 2 Airfoil Managers, one for the XP11 world and one for the XP12 world. XP12 will be version 1.4.0 beta. XP11 will be 1.3.2 version. So, so if you see 1.3, you're in the XP11 Airfoil Manager. If you see 1.4.0, you are in the XP12 Manager. Now note, neither the King Air, I forgot what, I think they have another one, and also the old analog version of the Cessna are not yet working in XP12. The analog version might never, I don't know. I kind of read something that they only wanted to do the next generation, so the digital version. At least that's the first one they did. I don't know. We shall see if there is more developments with other aircraft. I'm assuming that the King Air, the 350, will be ported to XP12. Okay, so yeah, Again, I don't want to go into a lot of details. This is a try and fly. Just to give you an idea, if you haven't seen Airfoillabs yet, Airfoillabs is one of these developers that create immersive sort of system depth kind of thing, study level, whatever you want to call that. And they've done that for quite some time now. The initial versions on older X-Plane, it didn't perform very well. I had quite a few issues also with the viewing system, which is a bit strange, also in this version. And it takes some time to get your views put in. Somehow I managed to get it done, so I'm fine now. But at the beginning, especially the outside views, they would always jump back to inside, and it takes a moment because they have their own viewing system. Probably also to support the walk around. Now, for me, that's not really helpful because I want my viewing system that I have for all aircraft. So I had to struggle a little bit, but it seems like I've done it by just being stubborn and over-define the go-to view commands. I haven't done a walk around yet, so it could be that this bites me in the back when I do that, but we're not going to do this today. For me, this is just giving it a go and checking out how it performs and how it works on X-Plane 12 and if there are any issues that we might encounter. What they have done quite well, although I find it a little bit over, there's really a lot. So it's an awful lot of functionality, which is great. So you do get quite a bit for your money, definitely. And modeling is up to scratch as well. So I'm not one who goes into every nook and crannock on the aircraft, but don't look so close here in X-Plane 12. We still have anti-aliasing issues. So it looks worse than it could. Okay, and I also like to get the white versions because in the white liveries you can see problems in the modeling easier than with the colorful ones. So it's a good modeling also inside, and let's jump into the cockpit. Also inside the cockpit, they kept up the fidelity sort of what they've done, so it doesn't look overly drawn like comic book things too much, unlike unfortunately other good developers that have shortcutted on that. So generally the impression is a good one. It is a bit dark here in this aircraft, but that's X-Plane 12 mainly, and they have tinted the glass. At least yesterday I had problems with tinted glass, but when I look at this at the moment, it looks like after restarting it, we don't seem to have that, which is good because it didn't really look very good. We do have reflections. What we also have is there is sort of an iPad thingy here, which you can turn on. And hang on, I think I did. Did I define a key for that? Can't remember. Did I? Obviously I didn't. Or I lost it again, because it took me some time to get this sorted. So let me see. So here you have all the menu in this iPad, which is good. If I remember correctly, you can also activate Avitab. Yeah, there you go. So if you have Avitab installed, which you should, then there's a repair all. Don't forget, this is kind of immersive, so things can break if you're not careful. You can load states here, so there are 4 states, cold and dark, which I think we are in right now, but I can press this and make sure that we're really in cold and dark. Before start, before taxi, and before takeoff. It seems like the windows are fogging. Yeah, because we closed the door, and let's open the door so that they're not fogging. Yeah, so when you have Airfoillabs, it's a bit like the reality expansion pack stuff. It makes things a little bit more complicated with the add-ons. You have to be aware of that, and you will get in trouble if you abuse the aircraft. Yeah, then we do have a checklist that you can call up. I've got it as an external window. This is, and also the manual, the handbook as they call it here, like in the German. Then there's the limits, never exceed speed and all that kind of stuff. Maximum structural cruising speed, 129. Maneuvering speed, 105. Maximum flap extend speed, 110. Yeah, depending on the weight. So that's quite good. Then you got all the normal procedures or checklists. So, for example, here in the pre-flight. And this is something that you can run through. I'm not going to do that now, but just to give you an idea. So if I say start checklist, look at that. It will actually go through all these positions and it will move there. And you then have to kind of do something, and if you've done it correctly, it will continue on the checklist. Now the arrow documents are supposed to be valid, so we probably need to look into something. I'm going to stop this now. Can I? Because, yeah, I can. So I stop this now, and we're just going through my setup. I'm not sure. I haven't yet checked if there is I don't think I have one. Yeah. So there may be also an X checklist for those that don't like those fancy ones, but it's very comprehensive, and there are emergency procedures, and yeah, it's actually very good. So no doubt about that. I will do my very simple, me being a simulator guy and have no real idea of the aircraft setup. There's also some settings. I turned off those camera effects because they kind of interfered also with the viewing system. There is some toe smoothing for hardware controllers. That's the toe brakes. And I think that's good because it takes away the snappiness, because so it's smoothing out the brake reaction, and I think that worked quite well when I did a quick test yesterday. There are nice sounds, call outs by the pilots and things like that. Pop-up delay, user interface, don't know why there's a delay. Could be that they scale down due to performance reasons or so. Yeah, could be. By the way, if you click down here, you get the map. And there's actually quite a few things. As I say, I'm not going to go through all of this now. I'm going to do a very simple Costa setup. And we shall see if Costa's setup actually causes issues. Now, is that, I think here, oops, yeah, so I think I took away now all the, see what I mean with the viewing system? It's done it again. Certain views then suddenly don't work. But it looks like we're clean. That's a busy fuel truck driver here. Yeah. Oops, I think so I'm calling up the before start engine, so I'm going to use the help of the checklist anyway, but not automatically. So let's see. First, let's check that park brake. Oh yeah, we have to get rid of this here, or otherwise steering will be a bit of a problem. Okay, my axes are connected. Yep, that works. And very good. So here are all the buttons. This is a new setup with the Garmin, so buttons are slightly located, slightly different. Right, then passenger briefing complete, seat belts, adjusted lock brakes, test. By the way, test and set, yeah, we've done that. Circuit breakers, they do work. So if there's a problem, you might actually find yourself with a popped out circuit breaker. Make sure that they're all in. Electrical equipment is all off. I think it is, yeah. Avionics switch bus is off. It's here. The master is off. Caution, the avionics switch bus 1 and bus 2 must be off during engine start to prevent possible damage, yeah. And yes, there will be damage. I've seen this also in the reality expansion pack when I accidentally messed with the alternator during flight. It actually broke one of my GNS. And the autopilot. Fuel selector valve both, fuel shut off valve off. So fuel selector is down here. You need to pull this out so that we actually have fuel and we draw fuel from both tanks so that we don't get an imbalance. Yeah, so now what we can decide whether or not, if we have enough battery, we're going to do an engine start with battery. If not, you can connect the GPU. Then some device will be attached and you can then start with the GPU. I'm going to do the engine start with battery. So theoretically, I should be able to click on the link, but doesn't look like I can. Engine start with battery. Now I am in there. So engine start with battery, throttle control, open about 1/4 inch. I'm going to take this away for the moment. Roughly, I mean, it's your guess as good as mine. Is this 1/4 inch? I don't know. It's hard to say. Mixture control cutoff. That's this here. Standby battery switch. The standby battery switch is up here. What we do is we first bring it down to the test, and the test is successful. Then we put it into the ARM. Verify PFD comes on. And by the way, you need to bring up, here it is, yeah, okay. So let's also put some of the lights on, since it is early in the morning. All right, and then we let this go through, engine indicating system, check parameters. So checking here, oil pressure obviously is low. So fuel quantity, it remembers because I did some testing yesterday. So we burned some fuel, which means that we will have to go and do something about that. Yeah, you can do that here, for example. Is that the fuel? No, hang on. Wait. Wait, here it is. All right, here we go. Here's the weight menu, huge thing. Right tank, so let's kind of put it and let's try and have it more or less the same. 14 gallons, 180 pounds. Okay, set fuel configuration 2/4. Yeah, let's do it like this, half a tank. And somehow zero fuel weight, utility, normal category. Utility category. Cool. So is this bad or is this good now? Not sure. Gross weight. I'm not that heavy, am I? This is sort of here. So I wonder if this is this the CG? Yeah, that's the CG. So that's looks. So what happens if I put it full? So this goes up. So we're a bit more inside. Here we are a bit more outside. And I guess 180 pounds. Well, let's do a bit less. Yeah, that didn't really change anything because I'm sitting in the front and there's nothing in the back. What we could do though is that we put someone with, let's say, 140 pounds in the back. Yeah, and then we're looking far more. And what we should do is not like this. What we should actually have him sit on the other side, which is the reason why I'm not putting it in the front, because I think it draws then some ugly looking avatar, and I don't want that in the front. Okay, apply. And let's close that window. All right. Now let's have a look. Okay. Or maybe I turned them off. Or was it this aircraft? Maybe I'm getting mixed up with another one where you suddenly have people sitting, which is I don't like when I'm flying. Engine indicating system check parameters, bus evolts. So now the fuel quantity we have. Yeah, the battery is still drawing. Propeller area is clear, so we can. Actually, we shouldn't turn it off because now we start by annunciator. Yeah, so we'll turn that on again. And let's close this door. And let's close. Let's close this door. Open the window. Put the master on. Then we put the beacon light on. And then we put the fuel pump switch on. And for that, I think we need to go and check out the fuel pump switch. Fuel pump switch on, mixture rich. Then we check fuel flow, and then we put it back again, and we turn off the fuel pump. Magneto switch start. So first of all, we put in the key, and then we start. Start mixture control advanced smoothly to rich when engine starts. Okay. So I'm in the cutoff position. So obviously, I might not have provided enough. Let's try that again. Pull off. Hang on. What have I done? Wrong. Crap. Again. So. Okay. And we try that again. Right. As you can see, it's not as easy as with the standard Cessna. but we managed to get it started. So now oil pressure. We haven't yet got oil pressure. Whoop, and somehow the park brake got loose. That's not good. So the oil pressure is settling in. Amps, yep, we're charging the battery now, 28 volts. There is no low voltage. We do have some warning here. What's that? Caution, alerts. Okay. Nav light switch as required. I don't know. Let's turn it on. Avionics bus 1 and 2. And now we have both displays. Which means that I can now quickly provide the usual thing with the flight plan. I need to correct this part here. Out with it. And again, we have this discontinuity, which is intended, so I'm going to manually take over when we're there. And the last thing we need to do is do a direct to, so that we have a clearly defined first waypoint to fly to. If you don't do this, chances are that things are getting a bit messy at the beginning. That turned out to be the best working solution. Yeah. And also what we're going to do is declutter the screen, because it's very difficult to really see details here. And that's it. So we've done the flight plan, and means we are ready. Okay, so basically we have done everything we need. I'm still waiting a little bit to get all the temperatures into the right. So oil pressure is just about hitting the green and oil temperature is fine. The vacuum is a bit strange that it would be outside the green. Okay. And by the way, you should run in and around 900 to 1000 RPM. Okay, so that your plugs don't foul. I learned this from the Reality Expansion pack. Or you have to lean the mixture if you're running on lower, but it's better to have it somewhere around there. And really wait for the temperatures and all the indications on the engine come into the green. That's the best thing to do. So I think I can I turn off the arm? Probably means that yeah, I could have done a test too. I'm not just doing everything now, so let's quickly check here. Yeah, so that's kind of air and things which you might want to cabin heat, cabin air. Well, oh yeah. Unfortunately, we've moved onto the road, and these guys they don't care. All right then, which means we can now taxi to the runway. let's put on the taxi light first position here. This is a two-stage switch. First is the recognition taxi light, and the next one will be the landing light. Yeah. All right then. Park brake is it off? No. My switch doesn't work the same way because they seem to have a kind of a toggle switch functionality here. Okay, the key works, but not my program command. Okay, good to know. Let's get out of here. And as usual, don't be surprised, there's a lot of flicker and bad anti-aliasing, X-Plane 12. We need to wait that this gets fixed eventually. I'm running on full settings, so it's not my settings. Yeah, the braking is okay. It's not too sensitive. I guess that smoothing does a lot. And it seems to also make sure that I'm not going left and right, because it's very hard to really synchronize the two feet and the two brakes, left and right wheel. Yeah, one thing I realized is although the frames are pretty good, 40 something, with this aircraft I do have stutters, as you just saw. So we have, every couple of seconds we have a short stutter. Dup, dup. So something in there seems to take away a little bit, not so much from the frames. By the way, if you're not sure, what you can do is check out. Okay, so what we can see is that the Airfoillabs built-in XJet plugin uses somewhere between 5 and 7 frames per second. So that will be deducted from your overall frames, which is not a small number. So it's a more complicated aircraft. By the way, an aircraft where you really lose frames a lot at the moment still is the M-Sparks 747. There are 3 plugins running. One for the display, for a better display on the navigation display, and all 3 of them, depending on the situation and so on, use up to 7 or 8 frames, which, if you add them together, makes 24 frames. And if you are in the kind of 50s, 40s, 50s like me, you're down to where you don't want to be. So this is one way of figuring out how complex your add-on is. That's still okay, but as I say, I can see very small stutters. Could be only on the airport, possible. We'll check it out when we are in the air. Now, one of the things that we could do now is run through the run-up test. Yeah, you bring it to something like 1700 RPM, and then you switch the magneto, and you check that there isn't that much. I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to get ready now for entering the runway. So landing light on, pitot heat on, and do I need the fuel pump? Mixture control is rich. We are on both, yeah. Then fuel quantity is checked. Flight controls, let's quickly check that. Also, let's check that we have working rudder pedals. Yep. Yeah, well, I did taxi, so it is okay. Then autopilot. Yes, we need to get all the values set correctly. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to CDI and make sure that we have the right course. That's something which is always difficult because sometimes the autopilots won't intercept the localizer if you have the wrong course here. So this is just to check that the course is already properly aligned. Then heading, obviously we need to get the heading in line with our runway. Which is 72. Then the altitude. We want to climb to 4,000, which is the altitude we should have on the initial approach fix to intercept the ILS. So it's 4,000. CDI is on nav or GPS. Okay, so we should be fine. Let's continue onto the runway. And you can see a very small jitter from time to time. Duck, yeah, little interruptions. And I just realized that I again have a problem with the view because my front view has gone lost again. So it does mess with your views. Okay, just be aware of that. I'm struggling with this since yesterday. It's not a bad thing, and I can see they probably do this because they have all this functionality, this complicated. Now let's see if I can put it in again, and at least during the flight we can have this view. Okay, so I'll try this now. Alright then, there we go. We have this big thing here, which, by the way, you can remove those. Okay. All right. Then let's start. Did I put up the strobes? No strobe yet. We still have to do that. And the other thing we need to do is go to the transponder and put it on alt. Alright. And now I'm bringing up putting forward full throttle, and you need to counteract a left, which is normal, and you really need to do something about that, but it's controllable, unlike other aircraft. And off we go. We shouldn't be on full powered for too long, and aim at about 80 knots. I did not use flaps, by the way, because it's such a long runway. Okay, so I'm activating heading mode. At the moment only for the just the flight director. I haven't yet activated the autopilot. And now I'm activating the autopilot and I'm activating vertical speed mode. All that seems to work fine. And I'm going to use about 600 feet per minute. That'll bring up the speed a bit. And now I'm going to reduce the power. Also leaning a little bit on the... Okay. Now I'm activating nav mode. It's okay that it veers off to the left a little bit because we are slightly beside the course line. I could have corrected this manually, but I didn't. And now I'm going to also use my special fly-lure function to bring down the noise. So we're now at about 87, which is okay. Can maybe increase the vertical speed. It's just so that we stay in and around 80 knots, 70 to 80 knots for the climb. We're almost at 4,000. The climb will finish and then we can transition into sort of cruise mode. We are on a route climb, so it's supposed to be somewhere between 70 and 85. Total control is still full. We are still on, actually we need to be on max here and route, okay. So I'm still on max mixture. So we have our first turn. Adjusting the heading. We've reached 4,000. We're now getting into, yeah, so I'm now leaning the mixture even further. And also reducing to about 2,000, I don't know, 400 or 300, probably something like that. Seems to keep it on 2,400. Let's check what the fuel flow is. Fuel flow, gallons per hour. Yeah, and that's the reflections, and haven't really found a way to turn this off. Oops. There's a draft coming in, that's why it's so loud. Alright, that's a bit... for ATC, I usually have a little script that just puts down all the sound settings, just because when you have ATC in your headset in the same that you have also the engine, it's impossible. And for streaming, it's also quite practical, because I do like to hear the engines, but it can distract from what is set also. So here you see the airport. In a moment we're going to turn again. And then we're flying in more or less in runway heading. I mean, the reflections are pretty good, I think. They don't strike me as odd, so I'm more inclined to leave reflections when they kind of look as if they are realistic. What I hate is if you see strange things, and when readability of instruments and things is really negatively affected unnecessarily. That's what I don't like, and then I usually try and switch off that stuff. Yeah, doing a good job. We're now here parallel to the airport. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use special function. You need to turn this off when you realize that things are going a little bit off. If it starts to make maneuvers, you need to bring it down again. I have a function. There's only one way up, always up, and when you reach 16.0, so you have to be quick when you want to switch it off. But that shortens the more boring parts of the flight. Just to show you, here on the little nav map display, you can see what that round looks like. Here we have a discontinuity, and I'm going to use heading mode to get ourselves aligned with FATA. Depending on how concentrated I am and how much I'm talking when I'm getting closer, sometimes we have to do a little bit of maneuvering here because I am too late. Then I usually do a little circle here and then get myself aligned for the ILS, and we are going to attempt an ILS approach. The initial approach fix altitude is, or is it actually the final? No, it's the initial approach fix is 4,000, and we are exactly on that altitude. So as you can see, we are now past the airport, and we're still on our way to my manual waypoint. So when we're getting closer to WP2, there's a manual waypoint that I defined with coordinates. You can do that very easily in, for example, littlenavmap, great tool. Then I'm going to do a 90-degree turn towards FATA, and shortly before FATA, if I don't mess up again, I give it sort of a 45 degrees angle, so that we intercept the localizer. It's not good intercepting the localizer in a 90-degree turn. because either you are too early or you are too late because it takes too long. So I usually do something like 30 degrees, 45 maximum degrees intercept angle. So you can see the airport now over here. For the ILS, we need to be a bit further away. We need to be at the point where we can intercept glide slope and localizer, mainly the glide slope. If the glide slope is below you, you've lost. You will not be able to use the autopilot as such, because it simply does not work. If you are below 4,000 feet and you are also under the glide slope, you'll be okay. The only thing you need to be aware of is if you do this in like real circumstances, especially if you don't have any, if you have IFR conditions or IMC, you shouldn't really be lower than the altitude they tell you, okay? Because it could be that you're flying into trouble if you are a lot under the altitudes that they post in the charts. Okay, so we're almost at... so what I'm doing now is I'm switching to heading mode. The other thing I'm doing is I am switching to localizer 1, making sure that the course is 072, which is the runway course. I'm still waiting 195. Okay, we have ISTE. It's okay that it points backwards. And now I'm going to turn to 90 degrees, which is 340. And I will stay on heading mode. And the aircraft is doing this all great. I mean, the Try&Flies, what I test is exactly that kind of stuff. Yeah, how does it handle? Is the autopilot, will it fly an ILS approach without any kind of gimmicks? Like S-Tech autopilots, you need to be aware of their differences in the S-Tech autopilot. Here we have basically a standard Garmin type autopilot with it doing the job for you most of the time, and no surprises. So that's the kind of things I try to figure out. Since we do have almost no wind, we're fine. Because I don't use winds, I just want to have always the same conditions. I test the same aircraft, all these aircraft in the same conditions. Sometimes I vary with the time, because it looks a bit better in the morning, I think, in X-Plane 12. You don't see as many of the flicker things, stuff like that. So when we get closer to FATA, I'm going to turn and, well, usually, as I say, so roughly about 30 degrees, 45 degrees maximum. So often I go here into the middle. Which is going to happen anytime soon. You can use the heading on the bezel. So now I'm going to turn, go maybe to about here, 030. That gives us a, I might actually, well, which says C, I think I did it too early because we're actually above the glide slope. That's not good. So I've messed up again. Let's do the thing then again. Yeah, I'm not very good at that. I should really get myself a defined point and then do the turn. I did it now too early. We haven't really reached a point where we are under the glide slope, because we have actually been turning a little bit too early on WP2 as well. I should have really flown past it and then do the turn. So I'm going to kind of correct for this. And I wait now that we do actually have I go a little bit away. Now we are on the glide slope. I'll wait that it is up at least 1 point so that we have enough maneuver time to get ourselves aligned also with the localizer. The turn is quite slow, so that's the other thing that I probably now did not properly adjust for. Yeah, we've blown it again. I was too close. Oh, we're going to get it. We're going to get it. I'm arming the approach mode as well, as soon as we have... Yep, so I'm arming the approach mode in the hope that localizer and glide slope will be kind of captured at the same time. Yeah, not quite. Hopefully... Yep, localizer. Ah, I was a tight one. Yo, okay. So let's reduce the power now because we are accelerating. We are now descending on the glide slope. But the autopilot is, I think it's handling it okay. So I'm reducing now the power so we're not accelerate. Yep, we're on the glide slope and on the localizer. Just about made it. But the aircraft is actually quite good at doing things, so I'm happy enough. We need to reduce more. Going to 2000 something RPM, 2100. Start the engine, pull cabin air and cabin heat knobs to unfog. Huh? Oh. Cabin air and cabin heat and cabin air, yeah. So we were building up fogging. Yeah, that's something part of the realism stuff. So we need to get into the white now, slowly but surely. TM ref. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's really Barrow reference. Oh yeah. That would then be, I think, 1260 plus 200, so 1460. I need to switch it next time, but I just simply don't have the time now to deal with this. Mixture full. Fuel selector both, mixture rich, land and taxi light switches on. Have I actually turned them off? Nope. Autopilot off. Yeah, okay. In a moment. And but I think I can apply the first stage of flaps, which brings down the speed, and second stage of flap. Okay, the autopilot it tries to counteract the results of extending the flaps, and the final flap stage. Ooh. Look at that. So the autopilot isn't exactly good. Look at this. We have now blown our glide slope. So that you need to be aware of. So extending the flaps can mess up the autopilot. Need to get back onto the glide slope. And then somewhere around 60 knots or so for the actual approach, which is no problem. We'll get there. So, oops, no. See, so I need to flatten it anyway. And that will get us into the right speed bracket. Yeah. Alright, now we'll and oops. Yep. I think I had a bit too much on the rudder, trying to counteract that veer to the right. That was a mistake. But yeah, again, when you fly with so many add-ons, it's so difficult because all of them react differently. And the only way to really get this done and be good at it is really fly and train the landing. So don't judge the landing now by what you've seen here in this video, because again, I've flown this first time since donkey's month, so there's absolutely no way that I can be really good at it. That's just the reality. So let's quickly go to taxi, turn the strobes off, pitot heat off. See what the short field landing, yeah, bulk landing, yeah, right. And the transponder, we actually need to turn off the transponder here in Germany. No, we want to go there. There's that fuel truck, always in the way. Okay. Park brake. And now. Let's turn off all the flaps are in. Avionics off. The windows are fogging. Yeah, I know. Let's open the door. That should deal with the windows fogging. All right. Yeah, so the Airfoillabs... is that door open? Oh, I've opened the window, which is also good. Yeah, the Airfoillabs Cessna. Really nice. Let's turn it off completely. It's a nice aircraft. It's working well, also in XP12 now with the patch. And yeah, I guess... okay, let's use this view. Don't ask me what this is, but I can use certain views only at the beginning. As soon as the whole procedure starts, then some of the views are overwritten, as you've seen. So, for example, this view, I can't. But I can do this one, and I can do this one, which is okay. Yeah, nice aircraft, and I would say I'm glad that they support XP12, which means that in future Airfoillabs will be another set of add-ons that I can also use in the new simulator. At the moment it's all in beta, so there will be a lot of changes, there will be updates, don't forget. There may be also things that don't work out, apart from the stupidity of the pilot. But I think we're on a good way here, and Airfoillabs is not exactly cheap, yeah, but I think you get a lot for your money, and especially if you want to be a bit more realistic in your general aviation flying or for training, I could imagine that this version of the Cessna is probably closer to what you would use in that case than the default from Lamina. Thanks very much for watching, and until next time.